Welcome to YourTown television program. I'm your host, Paula Joy MacNab. And again, I have the pleasure, I really do love doing this. It's really fun. I just wish I got paid a whole bunch of money to do it. I would do it full time. No, I'm kidding. I have the pleasure of talking with a lady who is fairly new to our community and very excited to be here, Jenny MacMurdo. She is Carmel's Chamber of Commerce CEO, and I am delighted to hear what's going on in my beloved hometown of Carmel. Welcome to the program, Jenny.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I'm one of those lucky people who actually grew up in Carmel.
Oh, you're so lucky.
I am so lucky. I went to Carmel High School. And,
an alum.
Yeah, I'm an alum.
That's great.
Yeah, and so I really am passionate about our beautiful city, and I think that, you know, a lot of people come from around the world and have a vision of Carmel.
Yeah.
And, you know, we film movies here, and people have this vision, and sometimes it matches and sometimes it doesn't, which is good. We recently did The Big Little Lies, and I hope the world doesn't think that we're all quite living in those houses and being that awful.
Yeah. Those were interesting characters, that's for sure.
We're interesting characters, but the Chamber serves a really fundamental purpose in our community. So tell us a little bit about what's the purpose of a chamber?
Well, I see the purpose of a chamber as the group of people who are helping businesses succeed in what they're doing and helping our communities thrive. It's a dual purpose, because if you don't have your economic base, then your communities can't be successful either. So we're there to make sure that the people who made that investment in our community, to start their business in our community, that they have all the resources and tools to become successful and to stay in business as long as they possibly can.
So what would some of those resources or tools be, Jenny?
Well, the Chamber, it has a number of members. We have almost 500 members in our Chamber. So we have people there to solve your HR problems, for instance, to solve your technical problems, all your IT problems. We have people who are really talented in marketing. We have people who are help you with relocation if you're moving your business to Carmel or moving it out, hopefully staying.
Right.
But we have such a diverse population that pretty much any question you have, we can find somebody who's an expert in it just by looking at our membership. And then if it's something that we don't have represented in our membership, then I'll spend as much time as possible trying to find the answer for you.
So what might be a typical question that might come through the Chamber?
Well, I actually had a restaurant come to me yesterday about a new tax, a tourism tax, the state of California.
Interesting.
Lots and lots of taxes. A lot of HR and a lot of government regulation comes to my door. And they said, you know, I hadn't seen this before. Have you seen this before? What is this all about? So I went and researched the bill, and I researched the law, and I found out, okay, this is when it started. This is what they're doing with it. This was the intent. Usually the intent doesn't always match what they're supposed to be doing with it, but I was able to point them in the right direction and give them some tools to figure out what they needed to do, how to move forward.
Right. So that's interesting, and I actually hadn't really thought about that, but it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you are really a resource for information, and I actually use the Chamber website quite a bit as I do as a realtor, because there's amazing history on there. And tell our viewing audience the Chamber website, and I'll have you do it again at the end.
It is www.carmelchamber.org.
Carmelchamber.org.
It's really simple.
But it's a wealth of information on all kinds of things. But talk more a little bit about the laws and those type things. I hadn't thought about that.
Those are the hardest pieces, because it's always changing. And so our business owners, a lot of them, the majority of them, are small business owners.
Sure.
And they are very busy, 7 days a week, running their business, and they don't have the time to keep up to speed on all of the things that are happening in government. And so we're there to keep touch with them, between them and what's going on. And if something comes across in the news that is, hey, something's happening in Sacramento and they're going to, you know, do something that'll be negative towards business, we're going to pay attention, and we're going to say, okay, how is this going to affect our businesses in our community? Hopefully it's not going to be negative. Hopefully it'll be a positive effect versus a negative effect, but you never know. sometimes it's not always positive.
Well, that's true. So talk to us about chambers in general, because there are chambers in many cities. Give us a little bit about background of what a chamber, because I know you have a wealth of experience in that world.
Well, not a wealth, but there are chambers pretty much in every town. They started a very long time ago as business associations. Some of them are still called business associations instead of chambers, but they're basically a group of people who care about keeping the economy strong and being able to be that resource for businesses when they're stuck or whether they're wanting to move forward with something new. We're there to help them in every way that we possibly can. So it's been happening for decades.
And tell us a little bit about your own background. You've been in other chambers beside Carmel. You're fairly new to Carmel.
Yes.
Where else have you worked?
Well, before here, I was in the Central Valley in Lemoore, California, which has a Naval Air Station. So we have a huge military base there. So a lot of the community was military, and then the other half of the community was ag. So we were dealing with ag-related businesses, support businesses, as well as farmers and ranchers, as well as this huge government component, which was the Navy. So our community was really interesting, and I think there are components of that here in Carmel
I'm just thinking that.
Just very different community dynamics. But we have, military here in the peninsula, and ag is still important no matter where you are in California, because it's one of the biggest gross products of California.
Oh, absolutely.
And of the nation, actually.
Absolutely. Well, and in Carmel, hospitality is huge.
It is huge.
So one of the things that I know a lot of people think about and talk about here is the workers in the hospitality industry are, obviously paid what they're paid. And the whole controversy is about minimum wage and living wage. Can you speak to that at all?
Well, I can speak a little bit to it. I know that the state of California came down with their new, I don't know what to call it, it's sort of a matrix for this year. It goes up as far as minimum wage goes.
Right.
So every year until 2021, it's going up $1 every year, and that was to try to bridge the gap for minimum wage to make it more of a living wage. The problem right now that hoteliers are really experiencing is that the people who are the support staff at the hotels are now starting to age out of their positions.
Oh, interesting.
And unfortunately, their children not really interested in the hotel industry. And so they're losing kind of their base right now. So
interesting, Jenny.
We're trying to figure out ways to figure out how to continue to keep that workforce alive, really.
So what are some of the things that you're coming up with? What are some of the things that are being bounced around? Because this will affect all of us.
Yeah, it will.
Not something any of us have thought about except you.
Well,
and now all our viewing audience.
Well, I had a really great conversation with a hotelier the other day, and we were talking about the high schools. Now they have the community service component of how you can't graduate without having your community service hours. We were talking about, these days kids are so pressured to do college prep in the summers and even after school that they're not taking these jobs, these after-school jobs or these summer jobs that we used to do. That every person that I graduated with had a job in high school, part-time, obviously. And they're not getting into some of these entry-level jobs that they were taking, either internships or minimum wage jobs. And so they're not exposed to those kind of jobs as possibilities, and they're not exposed to the industries either. So we were trying to figure out, there's got to be a way for us to introduce high school kids into the workforce.
Of course.
And even if they don't go into that specific workforce, if they don't go into business or they don't go into any of the internships that they take, it still introduces them to work ethic. It introduces them to finances, because who knows if they're actually, having to track their own finances and make their own money, I used to run a Young Entrepreneurs Academy, and one of the big slogans was, be your own boss, be your own CEO, and be able to buy that car when you turn 18 or 16. Buy your own car.
That's right.
Somebody doesn't have to give it to you. You can earn it yourself. So I think it's just being able to introduce it younger into especially high school, just introducing them to the workforce at a young age so they have an appreciation for it, and maybe then it's something that they want to do.
So is this something, Jenny, that is actively being done by the Chamber, or is this something that's being talked about? I think it's fantastic.
Just being talked about right now.
I think you'd get a lot of support for that, because people can really see, as a result of this conversation, a need that few of us probably have thought about.
Yeah, it's
that
true.
Aging out of the staff.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that they would stay in it forever. It just means you have a group of people that you can at least entice and sort of introduce to the business life and what it's like.
I for one would certainly support that, and I'm sure that many other business owners would do that. I know that you do business education workshops. Who can avail themselves of those, and what are those about? Tell us.
So at the Carmel Chamber, anyone can be a part of our workshops. You don't have to be a member. You get a really great discount if you're a member. But so that's an advantage of being a member.
Sure.
But anybody can sign up for them, and they're open to the public. So anybody who wants to learn a little bit about social media, or we're doing a how to green your kitchen. One of our board members is a chef, and he's specifically has a green certified restaurant in Carmel. And
is he a Chamber member?
He is.
Well, then you can give his name. What's his name?
His name is Sergey Peters. He runs Basil.
Of course.
He was here just recently.
Give a shout out to Sergey.
Yes, Sergey. So he's going to run a How to Green Your Kitchen workshop.
Wonderful.
Which is perfect for what's going on in Carmel right now anyway. So.
Excellent. So how do we find out about that workshop? I want to take
that
one.
On our website. We should have the flyer for that workshop up very soon. We are just trying to get past Taste of Carmel, which is next week.
Which is perfect segue. That was going to be my next question. Tell us about Taste of Carmel. Tell our viewing audience what it is.
Well, it is a spectacular event in the heart of Carmel. It's at the Mission, a beautiful location. It's at night, so it's lit up beautifully. We have a ton of vendors, food vendors and wine vendors there, so basically you're tasting your way through the night. We have the Money Band who's playing.
Oh, they're fabulous.
Yeah. There are no chairs there specifically because they want people to be up on their feet and enjoying it. There's a silent auction. This year we're doing a VIP section, which gets you a lot of special things. You get your own valet, you come in early, you have your own chef. You actually have seating in the VIP area.
Oh, okay,
the only seating in the whole place.
Good to know.
Yeah, and BMW is actually doing one of those lockbox raffles.
Oh.
So if you punch in a 6-digit code, you could have the chance to win a brand new BMW.
Ooh.
2017. I believe it's a 320i.
I would look nice in one of those.
Yeah, and we're trying to be a fully green event, so all of our food vendors are using all fully compostable everything. We don't leave a scrap of trash behind. It is
wonderful. And tell us the dates of that, Jenny.
October 5th.
Okay.
It's Thursday, October 5th, next Thursday.
Next Thursday. And I'm really glad you're here talking to me today, because I wanted to give a shout out to that too. Yeah. Tell us too about the Visitor Center.
The Visitor Center is actually run by Carmel Chamber of Commerce.
And where is it?
It is located in the plaza on the 2nd floor, and the Carmel Chamber is on the 3rd floor, so we actually look right at the front door of the Visitor Center. And the Visitor Center is open to everyone. It's open 7 days a week, 10 to 6, and we always have a staff member that is available as well as a plethora of volunteers. We have over 20 volunteers that cycle in every single day. It's really fantastic.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So if someone wanted to volunteer there, what are the requirements of a volunteer?
Really, we're just looking for people who know the community. That is helpful because they're going to be telling other people about where the restaurants are, where the hotels are, things to do. Where's the beach? That's the one. Interestingly enough, we get that question multiple times a day. Which way is the ocean?
Well, how many times have people been to Paris and said, where's the Eiffel Tower? And they say, turn around. So it's what we've come for.
And where are the bathrooms?
And where are the bathrooms? Yes, I think you need to learn that in every language.
Well, and also there's so many unique passageways in Carmel. So we have a lot of maps and itinerary for the entire peninsula, obviously focused on Carmel, but you know, you can find out about what's going on at the aquarium. You can find out what's going on at the lighthouses, all sorts of stuff. Big Sur, we have a whole board about what's going on in Big Sur, and the map is on the board. So when people come in, we say, well, it's closed here to here, but you can still get in.
So here's the $1,000,000 question, Jenny. When is the bridge opening?
Well, we're told that it's sometime in October, probably late October. That's the latest.
So you're getting the same information that we are. Okay.
Yeah, we're not getting anything new.
Oh darn! Here I thought you had the inside scoop that I could scoop it and give our audience.
No.
So tell us one more time how people can reach the chamber.
Go onto our website, www.carmelchamber.org, or you can Google Carmel Chamber of Commerce and you will find our site pretty easily. And then we are also located in the Carmel Plaza right off of Ocean.
So what might be a question that if somebody just had a burning question about Carmel and they wanted to ask, what would be, what's the strangest question you've gotten so far?
The strangest question? We get a lot of questions about the fairy tale cottages. I don't think that's really very strange, but it's interesting to hear the Carmel residents. They're talking about it when they have somebody who's taking a picture of their house, and it's kind of bizarre that someone would take a picture of their house. But we have so many beautifully constructed fairy tale cottages.
Comstock.
Yeah, there are a number of them, and so it's an interesting dialogue between residents and visitors. So that can be quite interesting sometimes.
And what are you seeing now in terms of visitors? Are you seeing that it's getting a little bit quieter?
No.
Oh.
I've been told that October is when it gets a little bit quieter and then it ramps up for the holidays, but I haven't seen it yet. I guess we still have a couple more weeks until it starts to slow down, but really every day it's busy. It's always busy in Carmel.
Interesting. So are you glad you're here?
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh.
If it could be at more than 100%.
More than 100%,
yeah,
you would be glad. Well, I am delighted that we had a wonderful previous executive director, Montana Potter, and I'm delighted that you're here with new energy and just happy to have you. Thank you so much for coming. And a very busy time for you, and it's always a busy time for you.
Yeah,
but thank you.
We never stop.
We never stop. And you've been watching YourTown television program. I'm your host, Paula Joy MacNab. And to recap some of the great resources and information that the chambers have that we don't even think about, the questions we don't even think about, the aging out of the staffing population. Never thought of it. Tune in again. I'm your host, Paula Joy MacNab, YourTown television program.